can you just give us some details on the work that you do specifically, but the scope of the Regional Coordinating Unit for IGDS?
I have been attached to the Regional Coordinating Unit since 2003, where I would have joined as a research assistant. I'm currently a research fellow, which pretty much means that the research portfolio is either implemented by me directly or managed by me in some way. Now, as you know, gender studies is a cross-cutting discipline. So we have done work on climate change, we've done work on education, we've done work on rural women, we've done work on developing curriculum and developing pedagogy around gender and development studies. So we really do quite a bit of work. In terms of our reach, we function at 3 levels. At the national level, we've worked with agencies like the Bureau of Women's Affairs, which is part of the Office of the Prime Minister out of Jamaica. We've worked with, at the regional level, CARICOM, we've worked with the Caribbean Development Bank, we've worked with, at the national or international level, pretty much all of the UN agencies. We've partnered with people like Oxfam, we have partnered also with the Commonwealth Secretariat. So our work has both depth in terms of the implications, I should say, of the work, as well as breadth in terms of the different agencies and different levels at which we work.
Beautiful. After having that highlight, and as you said, the breadth and depth of the work, in terms of the university, you could see at Cable and Mona, you could pick up a paper on any given day and read about cost cutting and so on. And therefore, the logic around activism and outreach and the universities, the adoption of a business model, how do we reconcile academia and activism? Should the ideal student have both, or we should be strictly about academics?
I don't think that the two can exist in a dichotomy. They must be joined together. And we need to start seeing gender studies as a unique field where, for instance, an economist doesn't have to go out there and advocate. That can be part of his or her, personal wish. But for a gender specialist, for a feminist, particularly for a Caribbean feminist, there's no way that you can separate the academic side of it from the activist side of it. And for us in the Caribbean, where we have so many things about which to advocate and so many things to really engender that level of activism, child sexual abuse, domestic violence, differential pay, even the issues that we're seeing now coming out of the schools, where we have violence in the schools, we have the teasing and so on, this around sexuality and so on. There's no way that as serious gender scholars we can separate the academic from the activism. And what is good about the work that the Institute does is very often coming out of these projects that tend to focus around advocacy and activism, we then turn it into work that is academic. So we literally build our own curriculum through that way. We build a pedagogy to say, this is how you approach gender studies, this is how you teach gender studies, this is how you live gender studies.
And last, in terms of our first-year students who usually come to the university, unfortunately, many students of the social sciences as well as humanities, who may be our largest catch group, may have only dealt with feminism or the women's studies as a chapter or a subset of the broader curriculum. How is it that we, as an institute, can mainstream gender into the university institution to understand that everything must be gendered?
I think it's unfortunate that very often when people hear about gender studies, they assume it's women's studies. Or gender is always about you women, arguing about something. Gender is life. When you think about power differentials and power dynamics between even interpersonal relationships, that's gender. So I think what we need to do is and it's unfortunate in a sense that we literally have to market ourselves in a way that perhaps sociology or history or economics doesn't have to. But we do need to change the perceptions around what gender is actually about. And when we do that, people will start flocking to us. And in fact, when we launched a few years ago the certificate, and then it became the diploma in Gender and Development Studies on the Mona campus through the open campus now, that's one of the things that happened when we really started marketing and telling people, this isn't just about some angry women who, have some man-hating agenda. This is about your life. This is about why is it that I'm getting less pay when I'm doing equal work as a man? Why is it that because I live in a rural community, I don't have access to the infrastructure as someone living in an urban environment? And when we really started to let people know this is about your life, this is not about some man-woman thing, we started to see the numbers increase. And I think even in the absence of that kind of marketing, the Institute has been fortunate. And again, we go back to that level of advocacy because we've always been out there. We've always been out there. In the last 20 years, the movement of Caribbean feminism has always been, certainly within the last 20 years, integrally bound into the operations of the IGDS.
Beautiful. Thank you very much.